All right, folks, here we go. Notes for Chapter 12, talking about technology and its influence on media management. Some statistics for you. Over 90% of all households in the United States pay for television, whether it be to cable, to satellite, to a telephone company, or through various alternative distributors, i.e. streaming services. U.S. households continue to increase their spending on entertainment and information technologies, as well as the investment of time. And many times when they're investing with their time, they're doing so in a multitasking environment. They're not just consuming audio or video. They're also doing something else, many times spending time on social media or doing some sort of work or task related sort of thing. Almost everybody, 92% of U.S. households have internet access. Penetration in that way is pretty good. That's from a nationwide level. That doesn't necessarily translate to that many people from state to state to state or from county to county. Approximately 75% of the population, 3 out of 4 people, have access to a smartphone. And for many of those people, that is the main way that they access the internet. Social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest are redefining the user experience for all types of media and are disrupting traditional marketing and advertising approaches. It is a very different landscape now in terms of how to best make an impression on an audience, finding ways to get them to even view the messages, let alone engage with those messages. And new media have definitely upended the landscape when it comes to what it means to try to capture someone's attention with some sort of a pitch. Social television, the integration of social media with television viewing, is growing in popularity. So this is that idea of the multitasking. You're sitting, you're watching a television program, and perhaps you're interacting with the show in some way, or you are tweeting or posting about a show that you're watching, perhaps using a hashtag associated with a television program, whether they ask you to do it or you create one yourself. Those sorts of things are happening. And then smartphone applications. They offer innovative ways for consumers to engage with media content through mobile devices. And that creates a very different experience in the immersion of media as opposed to doing so with a computer or a laptop or even a tablet. Even though some of the apps and things between tablets and smartphones are similar, there's still a bit of a different experience that happens depending on which particular item you're using. Some key players in social media. You probably know this list better than I do. Facebook, the largest one that's out there. It has been losing favor with some of the younger generation, and depending on how you look at things in terms of the way social is happening, it's kind of losing ground with some older Americans as well, but it still has the most membership of any other platform, at least in the United States, but arguably worldwide. Instagram, popular for sharing pictures. Twitter, it's the Facebook to keep things short and simple, 280 characters or less. LinkedIn, for the professional. It's a great way for networking. It's a great way for developing thought leadership within your areas of influence or to gain certain insights from various thought leaders. YouTube and Twitch, creating the video star, YouTube being the most popular of the various video platforms out there, although TikTok rising in popularity, the Twitter of YouTube of sorts, keeping your videos down to 60 seconds or less. And then Pinterest, allowing you to put up boards of audio, video, photos, and web links. Audience use of social media, I should say. Audience engagement with social media is strong and continues to grow, particularly with younger demographic groups. But again, the older ones are not to be completely left out. A lot of social media activity happens away from home using a mobile device. The way that we connect online has changed rapidly with the ease of which you can have connectivity with certain websites and apps and other protocols through the smartphone. Sometimes it's easier on the smartphone than on a computer these days. Social media is also used in a multitasking environment with other media, most prominently with watching television. That's the social television that we talked about earlier. Data suggests even stronger social media use exists among people of color, notably Hispanics, Asians, and African Americans, in comparison to Anglos. And we're talking about the United States here, but we are seeing that the rise of the smartphone has made the world much more connected. Many third world countries, their citizens are primarily connecting to the internet by use of a smartphone. Older audiences tend to use social media with less frequency and time than younger users do. Older audiences use social media to reconnect with people and to engage with family members. They may not necessarily be as influenced by the things that they see on social media. They're a little more wary of some things, although sometimes the wariness is warranted, because sometimes things on the internet can be confusing, especially to much older audience members. Social media use per day and per week has grown for many demographic groups over the years and now occupies over 30 minutes a day for heavier users. You think about it, you spend a minute here, a minute there, while you're waiting in line for something, while you're walking and quickly responding to a message you received or something like that. The minute here, the minute there, it adds up. There's a small number of users who never post on social media, but instead review other people's content. These users are known as social media voyeurs. So they're people that are being impacted by the social media landscape and the internet landscape, although they may not necessarily be as measurable as others that do directly engage with content. But there are ways to measure those that are just looking. Advertising and social media, kind of looking at things from the Facebook perspective. Here's some things that are being measured. Things like whether someone likes a page or not, how many page likes you have. That's a first logical step for someone to see how well their brand, their influence is traveling across the interwebs. Page post engagement. The business posts a message and ask customers to like, to comment on, to share. If you can get people to help spread the word for you, that is very positive. Clicking onto a website, the message directs the customer to click on another site. The social media message maybe gives a preview of the content that you're trying to discuss and then encourages the user to click to learn more or to take advantage of a certain offer. Website conversion, ads that encourage customers to go to a specific website to make a purchase or service. Basically, this is someone taking the bait on a call to action. Event management, used when a business is promoting an event and can also be used to track RSVPs. So there's various types of invites that people may engage with things like Sign Up Genius or clicking to respond to an invitation to a webinar or to an email list or something like that. Various offer claims allow customers to respond to an offer by a business that may be for free or for a discount, a way to create incentives for people to become attracted to something that you have available online. And then installations of applications or programs. This is used where the business is promoting its own app or other program for installation on a mobile device or desktop. And this one especially popular with media companies, where a TV station or a radio station may encourage viewers and listeners to download their particular app in order for them to receive programming content and other sorts of related information. Strategies on social media. Determining the best way for electronic and digital media companies to utilize social media should always be done in conjunction with the organization's strategic plan and objectives. In other words, the things that are being done on social media platforms, on websites, and the like, they all should still point towards the main overall mission and vision of the particular company. It should reinforce the format if we're talking about radio. It should promote the various television shows that are on a station. Also helping to promote various events that the media outlet is participating in, things like that. All of it pointing towards its audience and trying to be attractive to its audience to draw them in so that they will be able to not only receive the content that they put out, but react to the content the companies put out. 4 basic steps for a social media strategy. Step 1, engage the audience. Just kind of talked about that a little bit. Companies must first establish a base of audience members who like and follow their sites to become targets for social media messages. And again, that is the overall goal in terms of making impressions and showing the success of how many people you are impacting online. Some various ways to recruit new followers. You can use your websites by getting users to click on a link or a logo on your website that points to your social media pages. Existing readers of blogs are going to be likely to follow you on social media so they can get instant updates on when new content is available. Databases and mailing lists containing contact information are a good way to reach out and grab people's attention. Cross-promotion using on-air and other media outlets when you pretty much make it part of your branding, not just your call letters, not just your dial position, not just your channel number, but also like and follow us at your particular Twitter handle or your YouTube page or whatever presence that you have online. Public events like career fairs, health fairs, community festivals, other public forums where there's direct interaction with the public. Always be talking up your presence online in addition to all of the other things that you are talking up. Make it something that you are, in essence, trying to sell the people on. In this case, not so much to get them to spend money because it doesn't cost anything to hit that like button, but in order to share with people some of the things that you do online and make that attractive, make that known as you're out and about, talking with people one-on-one. Various types of services that you provide online through your social media are going to be rather effective as well, especially if we're talking about from a news standpoint, things like instant weather and breaking news updates. That's going to be a way to engage with the media. A lot of television stations will use their weather forecasters to do Facebook Live events, for example. Talk about weather scenarios that are coming up, do deeper dives into the forecast. Sometimes when there's an intriguing news story that's going on, to have a reporter go on social media and engage with the audience, maybe do a Q&A or something like that. Those sorts of things are very, very popular. On a radio side, if we're talking about music, perhaps if there's an interview with a artist that's being done, there's a way to engage with them in a social media context or provide an extended conversation available as an audio or video feed. That's also attractive content for people. Some other ways to engage the audience: offer coupons and other discount opportunities. These can be delivered directly to mobile devices via text messaging or email or even push notifications if someone has downloaded a station's app. And location-based services, allowing users to locate their friends and contacts based on where they are physically at any given time. Apps like Foursquare allow this, for example. Facebook also having some of that flexibility. Google able to track where you are, things like that. Of course, the con there is various privacy concerns. So if you're someone that cares about privacy, you may want to have those sort of things turned off on your phone. But if you don't, we can figure out where you are. Another basic step for social media strategy, developing content. That can't be hard. Just post something, right? Well, we ought to think about the things that we post. Posting regularly is going to be a huge thing that you're going to see on all of these different platforms. Post regularly to Facebook, to Twitter, to YouTube. The types of content that you post, again, needs to be relevant to your audience. The more that you're able to incorporate audio and video and photographs, the more likely people are going to notice your content and possibly engage with it. As far as YouTube or videos or even audio, if we're talking about podcasts, regular content uploads, the book suggests weekly, but you want to post content in such a way that it is some sort of a regular interval so that it creates some sort of sense that there's going to be new content on some sort of a regular basis, to the point that your super fans are going to look for that content to come out at the time that it's regularly going to come out. There's a suggestion that shorter content will appeal to people viewing on mobile. That's given rise to platforms like TikTok, for example, and YouTube now trying to do short videos as well. But at the same time, depending on the type of content that you're putting out there, it may be helpful to have longer cuts of things that you may have shown on television or played on the radio. Other strategies for developing content include blogging, the old-fashioned blog. If you have a blog that's incorporated as a part of your website, or if various radio personalities or TV reporters have their own blogs that are tied in with the station, it's a great way to allow users to consume content that might be more long form, that doesn't quite work within the social media landscape. It also allows an opportunity to build a group of followers that can be different from other social media applications. You can see the direct subscriber base for those that connect with blog content. Some other strategies: repurposing existing content. We've talked about how you might be able to take content that airs on the air and expand on it, but you also might be able to repackage it and provide it as various cuts online. And also embrace user-generated content from audience members. Be careful with this one, though. Make sure that things are verified, especially if we're talking about things from a news or information standpoint. You want to make sure that what you're putting out there is truthful. You may also want to second guess yourself if items being provided are perhaps a little too controversial for the audience you're trying to serve. Another step for your social media strategy would be promotion. The goal in promoting is to drive as many consumers as possible to your social media platforms. Publicize your social media sites in all forms of promotion, included on graphic cards on the TV screen, included as part of the visible aspects of your website. Have your announcers and air talent mention where they can be found on Twitter and Facebook and the various other platforms. Publicize it. Talk it up. Advertise as needed to help drive traffic to your sites. Advertise on various web platforms. Advertise on different places where people are going to come into contact with that ad. Billboards, for example, in high traffic areas. Use different email lists to specify messages that would interest addressees and keep them connected to your content. Another good way to use databases there. On-air promotion, another helpful tool, because your audience is already there. You know it's your target audience because they're watching, because they're listening. You can promote your social media efforts there. And then events like remote broadcasts, community activities, career fairs, town hall meetings, any place that you can get out and about to talk up the station. You should also talk up your social media efforts. And then the final step, evaluation. Management must regularly evaluate social media efforts to determine if the efforts are meeting goals and objectives. Learn how to read the metrics on the various social media platforms that you're using and determine if the effort that you're putting into the content and how often you post and those sort of things are actually being fruitful and reaching the audiences that you're trying to do. Now, analyzing that data, if you don't have access to some sort of aggregate source that puts that together in a nice neat bow for you, can be cumbersome because each platform has its own way of describing metrics, but learning how to read those metrics and determining how well different types of posts are reaching your audience, how they're reacting to that content, and even the times at which you post things online is going to be crucial. Maybe your content does better in the afternoons than in the mornings, or maybe there's more people that view your stuff on weekends than weekdays rather. Those are things that you want to pay attention to when you're evaluating how effective your social media presence is. That's going to do it for this half of the notes. We'll cover the rest of the chapter over in the next video.